Nick was never a good guy. And if you thought he was a good guy, then you were duped. You were manipulated. And I do think that you need to really unlearn a lot of things that you believe about love and romance. Let's first start with their origin story. So starting with Nick, we meet him obviously in the Waterford household. He is a driver, but he's also an eye. And we learn that eyes are planted everywhere, and they're essentially basically spying on citizens and reporting any misdeeds. Through flashbacks, we discover that Nick joined what was then known as the Sons of Jacob, which was the organization that later rose to power and created Gilead, when he was young, unemployed, lost, and basically a loser, for lack of a better term. He is recruited by someone named Andrew Price, who later becomes Commander Price and also becomes the head of the Eyes. Commander Price offers him a job as his personal driver, but it becomes clear at some point that he was involved in the fight that took down the American government and allowed Gilead to rise to power. There are several insinuations that he was critical in that, but we don't know exactly what he did. An important thing to understand here is that Nick was motivated by selfish reasons. He was not really fundamentally a believer in terms of the religion, and often people mistake that as some sort of redeeming quality. And while I can see where that comes from, understand that this man was willing to join a religious fundamental group that had its sights set on taking down the government, on killing people, on enslaving women and stealing children, in order for him to rise in station in life. Because that's what Commander Price was offering him. He was offering him a way out of his loser life. Because when we see Nick in the flashbacks, it becomes clear that he was desperately unhappy with his circumstances, and that is what Commander Price used to get him on board. The carrot that he was dangling for Nick was power, respectability, and although it wasn't expressly stated, it becomes clear that women was also on the table. This is very clearly spelled out in one particular flashback in season 6, where he and June are back at the Waterfords. They're in bed having some pillow talk. He mentions something to the effect of how pre-Gilead, June would have had no interest in him. She would have overlooked him or ignored him or something like that. He would have been the guy bagging her groceries.